Hey everyone, my name's Emily McGee, and today we're going to be talking about Region 30 Snare Etude. Throughout this video, I'm going to give you some tips on the different measures and lines of how I think you should learn it and be successful throughout the tune. Let's get started. So throughout the etude, I would advise using right hand lead sticking, meaning that your right hand plays the 8th notes and your left hand fills in the 16th notes. So for example, measure 1, you should stick it right, left, right, 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 left, right, right, left, right. So it'll sound like this. Got it? Cool. So then measure 2, you've got the upstroke to get to the flams on the and of 2 and the and of 4. By upstroke, I mean that you're going to play a tap at mezzo forte and then rebound up for the accent. So measures 2, beats 2 and 3 would look like this. 2 and 3 and 4. And then you add the flam. So 2 and 3 and 4. And then on beat 4, you have the buzz on the and of 4. I'd recommend buzzing the and of 4 with 16th note roll bass. So beat 4 would be 4 and a 1. And then you add the buzzes on the and. Cool? So then measure 2 would sound like this. Now, measure 3 is a lot like measure 1. You would do the same stickings where you should play right, left, right, 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 left, right, which is the right hand lead sticking. So measure 3 would sound like this. So all of line 1 from measures 1 through 3 would sound like this all together. So in measure 4 on beat 2, you have 2 accents, which means that they need to be louder than the 16th notes on beat 1. And then still in measure 4, beat 3 has a buzz roll into beat 4. You should play that buzz roll with 16th notes and then buzz them. So measure 4 will sound like this. Notice how I played 2 and with the right hand because we're using right hand lead sticking and then it matches what you've played in the previous measures. Now measure 5, you have to jump down to piano. Remember your piano dynamic is super low, maybe horizontal stick 3 inches from the head. And then you'll play the right hand lead sticking just like you did in measure 1, where it's right, left, right, 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 left, right, buzz, buzz, 1. Beat 4 of measure 5 looks just like beat 4 of measure 2, where you would play 4 and a 1, but your and a is buzzed. But this time, because it jumps up to mezzo forte, your and a 1 needs to be louder. So beat 4 would sound like this. See how it's quiet at first and then I jump up in the volume? 4 and a 1. So measure 5 altogether will sound like this. And then measure 6 is just right hand lead sticking. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, 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 left, right. The and of 4 this time jumps down to piano. So measure 6 will sound like this. So now we're on line 3, starting with measure 7. Measure 7 has flams in it, just like measure 2, but this time the flams are not accented. And don't forget, measure 7 is at piano because the and of 4 in measure 6 jump down to piano. So all in all, measure 7 should sound like this. Notice that beat 1 of measure 8 was louder because it jumps up to mezzo forte. So right after the flams on beat 3 and 4 of measure 7, you gotta jump up to mezzo forte for measure 8. And then in measure 8, there's an accent on beat 3 and a rest on beat 4. That rest on beat 4, you've got to think really hard about the 8th notes so that you don't rush the tempo before measure 9. So measure 8, you should subdivide 8th notes on beats 3 and 4. So measure 8 should sound like this. And 4 and 9. See how I counted out? Watch again. And 4 and 9. And then in measure 9, there's a 16th note rest on beat 2. This means that you're going to have to think where beat 2 is so that you can come back in on the E of 2 with your left hand because we use right hand lead sticking. So measure 9 would be right, left, right, left, left, right, 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 left, right. Still at mezzo forte. So here's measure 9. You could even say beat 2 in that rest to where it would sound like this. 2. So now we're on line 4, starting on measure 10. In measure 10, the tricky part is that beat 3 quarter note into the beat 4 buzz roll. Now this is the longest buzz roll so far in the etude. I would recommend that you play beat 4 as 4E and 1, but with buzzes, so it would be buzz, 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 buzz 1. And then subdivide beat 3 so that you don't rush to beat 4. Here's what measure 10 should sound like. And here it is again. And then measure 11 looks an awful lot like measure 9 because that beat 2 is missing, making it an E and a on beat 2. So just like measure 9, you should think beat 2 in your head. So it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3. And then beat 3, you should buzz 3 E and, but with buzzes on 3 E. So, but with buzz, that's beat 3. So here's what measure 11 would sound like. 2. Here it is again, measure 11. 2. And then measure 12 is the same thing on beat 3. You're going to have to subdivide the 8th note so that you don't come in early on beat 4. And beat 4 is another long buzz roll, but this time it crescendos. So beat 4 without buzzes should be 4E and 1. Up to forte. And then with buzzes. So here's measure 12. And. Here it is again. And. So starting in measure 13, you have a really big decrescendo. This is the first decrescendo of the piece, and it lasts 2 measures. Now if you look at your music, it doesn't say what dynamic you should decrescendo to in measure 14. So what I would do is I would take your pencils and write in a piano on beat 4 of measure 14. Just because it's not written to what dynamic you should decrescendo to, it's always safe to assume the lowest so that it looks like your phrasing is very well developed. So the decrescendo for measures 13 and 14 will sound like this, starting at forte. A good checkpoint is a halfway mark between forte and piano, which would be mezzo forte. So you should try to be at the dynamic level of mezzo forte by measure 14. So measure 13, mezzo forte, and then you're at piano. Then measure 15 crescendos all the way through measure 16 to beat 4. And again, it doesn't have a dynamic you should crescendo to. So I would take your pencils and on beat 4 measure 16, write a forte. I know it says mezzo piano at measure 17, but that's where we'll jump down the dynamic. Otherwise, the crescendo won't seem as effective because it's not crescendoing very loud. So mark beat 4 measure 16 as a forte dynamic. So then just like 13 and 14, measures 15 and 16 will crescendo and sound like this. And that was the downbeat of 17. Really subdivide in measure 15 so that you don't rush that. Think the 16th notes in your head. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 17. So we already talked about measure 16, so let's jump to measure 17. Measure 17 is at mezzo piano and there are unaccented flams, which means that those flams need to be the same volume as the rest of the measure, just like in measure 7. Here's what 17 will sound like. Here it is again, make sure you're at mezzo piano. And then measure 18 has an even longer buzz roll than we've had so far. All of beats 3 and beat 4 are a buzz roll, so you need to subdivide 3E and a, 4E and a, 1, and then buzz it. Buzz, 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 1. So here's what measure 18 will sound like. All at mezzo piano. Here it is again, 18. So now we're on line 7, starting at measure 19. Measure 19 has unaccented flams again. So remember, we're still at mezzo piano, and measure 19's flams should be the same volume as the rest of the measure. So here's what 19 should sound like, mezzo piano. Here's again. And then measure 20 has a crescendo from mezzo piano to mezzo forte, so it's not a very big crescendo, but it does go through the buzz roll. Remember, we do 16th note bass for the buzz rolls. So measure 3 would be 3E and 4, Measure 20, beat 3, would be 3E and 4. Buzz, 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 4. Here's measure 20. Here it is again. Now measure 21 has the first triplet we've seen. Now, there are a lot of different ways to count triplets, so whatever you've been taught is what you should do, but I like to count them one lolly. Maybe you count triplet, whichever works best for you, but the point is that triplets need to be very well rounded. So from beat 1 to beat 2, you have to have a nice round rhythm of triplet, or one lolly 2, one lolly 2, one lolly 2, or triplet 2, right? And at mezzo forte with unaccented flams. So here's what 21 would sound like. Beat 3, it needs to sound very different than beat 1 because it's not a triplet. So 3E and versus one lolly or triplet. 3E and triplet. They're different. So listen again to measure 21. Triplet, 3, 4. I would also start 21 off the left hand so that you can get back onto your right hand lead. So left, right, left, right, right, and right, 22. So now we're on the last line of the etude, measure 22. Now measure 22 has a lot of short buzz rolls in it, so let's play measure 22 with 16th note basses rather than just adding in the buzzes. It'll look like this. Okay, now let's play it together. Here's measure 22 without buzzes. This is measure 22 just with the 16th notes. Add mezzo forte volume. So now let's add in the buzzes. Here it is again, a little faster. Now measure 22 to the end is another big crescendo, but you jump way down to piano on the and of 1 in measure 23. So, and it's got that triplet on beat 4, right? Remember, triplets are very round. So if you count measure 23, it'll sound like this. 1 and a 2E and a 3 and a triplet 1. So here's what 23 will sound like with the downbeat. Now that triplet is going to start off the right hand so that measure 24 will start off the left hand. Now measure 24 is another long buzz roll, but it keeps crescendoing. So at 24 you should be buzzing 1E and a 2E and a 3 all the way to an accented forte, probably the loudest note of the whole etude. So measure 24 without buzzes will sound like this. If there's the accent should pop even louder, so you can come up to like, I don't know, a fortissimo height for that accent so that the judges or whoever's listening knows that you know the accent's there. Now let's add the buzzes at 24. A little faster. So now all of line 8, the last line, will sound like this. Here it is a little faster, the last line. Sorry, start at mezzo forte.